How's it going, guys? Ghost Caliber here, and today we are going to review a game that on this channel I don't think y'all would ever expect me to review. Out of all the games I've talked about reviewing, this has never came up, and I didn't really think I'd ever want to make a review of this game. But I thought about it recently because it's like I wanted to play it during its heyday on my old computer, but it really wouldn't work. My old computer was trash. But now that I played it, it's time to make a review on it. Why? Because I haven't seen a review on this game in games like it. So, without further ado, this is the review for Slendytubbies 3. Alright, so for this first segment, we're going to be talking about the campaign. Now, the campaign, I got a lot to say about it. So, a lot of good to say about it, actually. So, let's just get the bad out the way first. So, the bad parts of the campaign is that there's certain scenes where there's fixed camera angles. And that's annoying because the fixed camera angles kind of like the camera angle will literally like clip in if you move a certain way, which is really bad for a game like this. But since it's like a Unity game, I can't really say much about it, but it's still it's not a compliment, it's still a complaint. And another thing is, and this is like being a little bit nitpicky because I actually really like this game, that the basic standing model for almost all the Teletubbies, especially in like Chapter 0, which is the prologue, is just a T-pose. I'm being honest, like, it's a T-pose. Which, I'm gonna show you all that right now, actually. Here's the T-pose. Yeah, look at this. Look at this. This is the stuff I was talking about. This is like a whole fixed camera angle. And like, look, he's in a T-pose. The only reason why Lala in the back isn't in a T-pose is because she's like having this whole kicking animation. Bro, look, I move around, then it's a whole moving animation, but then I stop, and then like, look, fixed camera angle, all that stuff that I was like low-key annoyed about, and yeah, T-pose, man, what the hell? Alright, back onto the good stuff. Not really good stuff, but more of the reviews part. Back on the bad stuff. I feel like this game could have been fleshed out more. Because, as you're going to see throughout my review, like as I'm going to talk about, this game is very short. I think the game in total took me around an hour, and I did die a bunch because, one, fixed camera angles, and two, some things like weren't obvious, so I'd often experiment and do some random stuff. And honestly, I was really looking around trying to see if there was like something I could get. There wasn't. There's no reason for you to look around unless you want like a little bit more of the world. But other than that, there's no reason to look around. I also don't like how like the character's name is literally you. Could at least given the main character a name. Cause I know it's supposed to represent the player, but y'all could have started something. Like at least call him the Guardian, as Nunu says later on. Which now let's start with the campaign, and from this point on, there will be spoilers. And if you have a computer and you have a couple of megabyte space, I highly recommend it. This game is not very demanding either. And this is something I want to touch on briefly. When you download this, this will go through one site, which gives you a link to another site. Then that site will give you a bunch of download links. Only trust the Mediafire download link. There'll be two other ones. There's 4 links there. 2 of them are the Mediafire for the 64 megabyte and the 32 megabyte. Only trust the Mediafire ones. I have no idea about the others. I'm just telling you that to be safe. So, back onto this main game. So, this game starts out with a lot of honestly good poems on let me read these things out to you. Like this is at the start of each chapter. Yeah, they have poems like this throughout all 4 chapters. Technically there's 3, but this is chapter 0, so 4. You know. In a distant land lies underground machines created by the unknown, capable of creating life forms. These machines have been creating creatures known as Teletubbies for hundreds of years. The machines worked in a secret underground lair. One of their creations, known as the Teletubby Guardian, who had white fur, was designed to monitor a test group of 4 Teletubbies in secret. They were known as Tinky Winky, Dipsy, Laa-Laa, and Po. The 4 Teletubbies lived together in a dome-like home within a boxed landscape known as the mainland. The group were like hamsters in a cage, not knowing that they were being monitored within a fixed area. They also lived with an artificial intelligent machine known as Nunu. The Teletubby Guardian monitored the group's behavior and documented it into a database, ensured the group's health, and also had to ensure that the group did not leave the area. Over the years, the Guardian grew a strong bond with the group, enjoying watching over them, despite the group not knowing of the Guardian's existence. One day, things went horribly wrong. As you can tell, there are some errors here, like Guardians. As we see, there's only one Guardian, so that would be an apostrophe there, but that's different. So, let's talk about Chapter 0, since that's what we started off on. Chapter 0 is pretty much the prologue. This shows a bunch of what life was like for the Teletubbies before. Like, not really their routine, but like what their life was like before they all got infected with infected Tubby Custard. Yeah, that's, if you've played the other games or seen the other games on YouTube, I know this was like very big a couple years ago, like the first 2 games, back when YouTube went under this whole Slender Man craze. Like, if you were there, you remember where like horror games on the internet were all like Slender Man based. There were some good ones, but mainly like Slender Man with other characters from fictional universes. Like, there's one with Shrek, one with Timo from League, and like a bunch like that. I know there was one where it was like trees were hawking you instead of like a Slender Man. But yeah, this is the prologue, and honestly, it's pretty well made. And the gameplay I'm showing you is of the prologue. As we go through these chapters, you're going to be seeing gameplay from these chapters. I think that would have been obvious, but you know, some people are lazy and cut corners. Not me. So, yeah, out of everything, like the cutscene's good. Again, the only nitpick I have, and I think I only see this here, is the T-pose animation. And that's about it. This is really good at setting the stage, giving you mystery to what happened. And it's really cool. And it also shows an enemy you'll be seeing later in the game, which I'll leave that for when that happens. But, you know, take things one step at a time. Chapter 1, A New Day. It has begun. Tinky Winky has killed Po and the rest of his friends. You believe that the Custards are responsible for his attacks. You use your computer in an attempt to contact other Tubbies at the satellite station, but with no success. Without any delay, you prepare a plan to find all of the infected Custards before traveling to the satellite station for help. It's up to you to find the truth. So, Chapter 0 was the prologue to the whole Slendytubbies story. But Chapter 1 is kind of the real introduction to the game, where Chapter 0 was a prologue explaining the world and everything. Chapter 1 is really where the game starts showing you that, yeah, this is a horror game. Chapter 0 does that like at the end, but Chapter 1 really shows that. And this is part where I'm going to get kind of annoyed, because I died a couple times here when I did my first playthrough. And the reason I kept dying is because, unlike other Slender Man games, where he'll see you, or like so-and-so will see you, chase you, and if they grab you, you die. This is like, this part of the game, if they see you, you're dead. So you kind of have to maintain a low profile. So it's more of stealth than, you know, getting caught. And that's kind of annoying, but this is like, shows you most of the mechanics. On a story perspective, it doesn't do much. You just go there, grab custards in these different locations. Then you get chased by Tinky Winky into either the mountains or the cave. I chose the cave, so I'm only going to talk about the cave. And if y'all, I don't understand why y'all would. probably because y'all want to torture me or something. But if y'all want me to talk about the other things I didn't talk about in this video, I will. But yeah, so now on to Chapter 2. Chapter 2, The Journey. At the last Custer location, you encountered Tinky Winky. He transformed into a monster right before your eyes and tried to kill you. You were able to escape to the cave. From there, you must travel through maze-like corridors to get to the outskirts. Once you're at the outskirts, you'll find the satellite station. Okay, so Chapter 2, I think this is where the horror is at its peak. Because the horror, it's weird about this game. And you're going to see this when I talk about the final chapter, Chapter 3. That the horror in this game goes up, peaks in Chapter 2, and then falls off. And it feels like the game changed genres real fast. But it's just weird. Because this part, the caves, is my least favorite part of the game. Again, these last couple of chapters feel like a lot of world building and just exposition. I'm sorry. It feels like exposition. It doesn't feel like it matters to the story that much, and it doesn't feel like it's building upon anything else. And it's just adding on to the mystery and building up the story, but not actually building up the gameplay. So pretty much this is just story building. But I don't care about that. I mean, in a game like this, it helps, but having these first 3 chapters, your game having 4 chapters and the first 3 are just exposition, kind of bad. But I digress. Not really much to say about here, except I don't like the cave system that they have. It's literally so complicated that you have to look up a guide. I'm being honest. You have to look up a guide. And if you were somehow able to beat this game without using a guide, I commend you. But now let's talk about the final chapter and my favorite chapter. Chapter 3. Chapter 3. Run away. You've traveled a long way. You escaped those creatures at the secret lair. You ran away from Tinky Winky's new phase at the mainland. You made your way through the outskirts and encountered Lala. But after all that's happened so far, you're still alive. At last you arrive at the satellite station. So, Chapter 3 is my favorite chapter, and it's the last chapter of the game. Why is this my favorite chapter? So, just like when I said the horror dips off here, there's like a small horror segment in the beginning. And another thing I really want to talk about is that the fixed camera angles here, horrible, so annoying. I hate them so much. Here in particular, I hate that. But get back on to like more of the gameplay and story aspects. So this is the part of the game where you find out that the Tubby Custard has actually been infected by Nunu in hopes of making the Teletubbies this master race without limits or flaws, as he says. And I think they're kind of flawed in my opinion. But like they're saying like their emotions and like how their bodies are limits their thinking and stuff. And this is kind of where the not only the horror but the emotion that was shown in the previous chapter is gone, because in the previous chapter there's stuff like you have the choice to kill Lala, which I'm not sure what happens if you don't, but I killed Lala because she's coughing, she's turning because she ate some of the infected custard, and you have the choice to kill her. I put her out of her misery because she openly states that she does not want to turn into one of those things, so I granted her her wish. Now, back to the current chapter, Chapter 3, we see that Dipsy, which if you played Chapter 0, I mentioned how in that chapter they show an enemy and how that enemy became it that way in the later game. Well, this is actually Dipsy, the green Teletubby. We know why his head is gone, because Tinky Winky ripped it off. And the fact that I'm saying this seriously makes me kind of sad. But, anyway, The horror dips off because after you killed Dipsy by tricking him to walk over a laser wire, which I think was like turned out to be a mine or something, whatever. You pick up his chainsaw and then you go confront Nunu. Then you fight a whole boss, the announcer, which is kind of a difficult boss fight. Not really. And then you go send the distress signal to the military. Then you go outside, confront Nunu again about more philosophy about how y'all could have worked together and whatnot. I got the good ending. I didn't get the bad ending where you join Nunu. But then you have to fight Poe if you don't join him. And fighting Poe, he has 3 different phases, unlike the announcer who had 2 phases where you knock off his arm and then grab the buzzsaw. This one has 3 where he keeps leveling up, sort of, with this fight. And I think it's kind of cool in that sense. And you fight with a chainsaw, and talking about the fighting mechanics, it's actually pretty solid. For a game like this, I didn't expect it to be that good, but the fighting mechanics that they give you, like the blocking system and the dodge rolling, is pretty solid. Especially like how blocking takes up stamina, so you can't just block every attack. You have to like roll out of the way, move around and stuff, evade. I really like that. And you're probably wondering, is there more to the story after chapter 3? Yeah, actually, at the credits, they say that you can continue the story in the multiplayer, where you see the whole army of different Teletubby clones that he gives, that Nunu creates, and you meet up with the military and you say like, all right, yeah, we have to fight. So now we're gonna talk about the multiplayer. So for the last part, this is gonna be my multiplayer portion, along with my conclusion. In total, I'm not gonna sugarcoat this. With the multiplayer, I only played the core 2 modes. 1, because I don't see many people playing this game, so I did not touch versus. 2nd, I did not want to play sandbox because it just doesn't. Sandbox game modes don't interest me at all. I mean, maybe in like another video, I'll like start out the video by talking about it, but I just don't really want to play it. So we're going to talk about the 2 modes that I did play. Survival and collect. But after we talk about collect, we're going to talk about collect first, which I didn't play a lot of collect, but I did play a decent portion. Collect is your basic Five Nights at Freddy's. Not Five Nights at Freddy's. Why did I say Five Nights at Freddy's? Your basic Slenderman stuff. So you literally go around in a certain map of your choosing, which, gotta give them credit, those maps are very well made for different game modes. I'm not gonna lie, some of it is kind of dumb. Like, the darker maps, I feel like, are a lot better for collect than survival. And that's just because... And that's also, like, another thing I don't like about the confined maps. Confined maps, like Possessed School, which I kind of want to talk about that map, because Possessed School, there's like a possessed schoolgirl there. What does that have to do with Teletubbies? Like, honestly, what does that have to do with Teletubbies? But the collect game mode, you collect Tubby Custards, and you're running from whatever boss is sitting there, and oh, trust me, they have like a wide variety of different maps sitting there. And I kind of like that, though. Like, I can't lie. I really like that there's, like, it's not the same Teletubby that is haunting the same map. That is different ones. Like, for the Possessed School, what would be better than a Possessed Schoolgirl? Like, let's be honest. Like, I know I was just, like, bashing it, but what would have been better? And the mainland, during the day, is haunted by the normal Tinky Winky. Not normal as in, like, basic, like, not infected, but, like, the infected Tinky Winky. But at night, it's, like, big buff infected. perfected Tinky Winky. Like, it's cool, man. So this is how many maps in total are in Slendytubbies 3. The blue room, but we're not going to count because that's only for moderators. Cabin, dusk, day, night. Fortress, dusk, day, night. We're not going to say dusk, day, night, bro. Screw that. Fortress, the dream, lake, custard facility, cave, mainland, Lala's dream. I think I already said the dream, though, but mainland, night, because that's a different one. Military base, mountains, outskirts night, possessed school, reject facility, research lab, satellite station, secret lair, secret center remastered, Slendytubbies classic, which is the original map from the first game, and the training maze. And the thing I like about all this is that for almost every map, there is a different enemy. Like for only about honestly, through 2 maps, 3 actually, are you fighting kind of the same person. 2 of them is the same person, but the other one's a different person. 2 of them is the imposter, which looks like you but isn't you. And then the guardian is another thing that looks like you but isn't you. But that's a different thing. But yeah, there's different enemies. Like for example, the military base, you fight the announcer, which is a boss from the main game. And possessed schoolgirl already says the ghost girl. And like training maze gives you arrow tubby. Like you're fighting people in the game that like you don't fight in the main game, which I think that's cool. And I think this game took a lot of inspiration from Killing Floor 2. I really see that a lot in the way that the zombies are formulated and how they look. They look a lot like things out of Killing Floor 2. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but I honestly kind of like that. So, about survival. Think of it as Call of Duty Zombies. Nah, it's not even like that. It's Killing Floor 2, honestly. It just feels like Killing Floor 2. There's the supply boxes across the map. On other maps, a helicopter thing, plane comes in. I'm just going to call it like an aircraft because that's just what it is. Aircraft flies in, gives you your supplies, flies out. Different parts of the map. And that's what it feels like. It feels like the drop pod from Killing Floor 2. Now, there's a lot of stuff in this game that's really nitpicky, but coming from a small development team, it's not that bad. Like, one thing, if you play this game, I don't recommend aiming your guns. It just obscures your sight. And it doesn't mess with your bullet spread either way, so I don't recommend aiming. But, you know, the game as a zombie survival mode really kind of works. But for certain maps, it doesn't work. Like, for the possessed school, it doesn't really work because you're in this tight confined space trying to fight down hordes of zombies, and it doesn't give you much room to run and juke zombies in. But you know, other maps like the mainland, which that was like the first map that I actually fully beat, which I was confused when I beat a map because, you know, I'm used to playing Call of Duty Zombies where you don't really beat maps. But like when you beat the map, on that map, like it's a large map, you're able to run around, juke zombies, you know, it's fun. But other smaller maps don't work like that. Also, in contrast, for collect maps, the bigger ones, you're not really as scared. Because it's like, it's going to take them a while to find you anyway. Meanwhile, on the smaller maps, it's kind of like you're looking behind you. You don't want to get caught in those tight spaces because you can't really move, you know? But, yeah. That's my opinion on multiplayer. Oh, almost forgot one thing. there's a customization thing where you're able to customize your hat and your fur color. When you customize your hat, though, they cost custards. And the only way to get custard is by playing the collect game mode, which not that hard. I recommend playing Possessed School because that I think is the smallest map, and you only have like one person chasing you, and you just turn it to 25 custards to collect, and then just keep playing that. It's not hard. But now and finally, the conclusion. We're gonna talk about this. Okay, I just knocked over my mic. My bad. That probably sounded very weird. But we're going to talk about this game as a whole. In conclusion, this game, for what it's worth, it coming out in 2017, having a very small development team, I think this game is very good. Like, on a scale of 1 to 10, I'd give it a solid 7.5, with all things considered. There are some things I didn't like how the fixed camera angles and stuff. And, like, it was weird. Like, some things I just didn't like, and like some of that stuff, like, I can't really put my finger on. I did not like that maze section, but the enemy variety and like the fear in it kind of makes you feel good. And I like how in the third chapter it sets it up for the multiplayer. How like the gameplay in the third chapter guides you into the gameplay of the multiplayer. It's really good, and I really enjoyed this game. I definitely recommend, if you had the resources to play this game, that you should really do it. This game was honestly a blast to play, and I will be checking out more like Unity games so I can make like small reviews like this one on it, because I can review those games faster than Wonderlands, and I want to get more review content out there. But Wonderlands is kind of a big game, and yeah, I'm almost done with it, which means I'll probably be able to review it soon. But that means I'm also going to have to play Borderlands 3 because I need a good game to compare it to. But, yeah. In conclusion, the game was really fun. The twist villain of the vacuum cleaner is such a stupid idea that it actually works. It's funny. And the fact that we're dealing with monster Teletubbies makes it work even more, because it's such a ridiculous idea that taking it seriously makes you seem silly, and that's kind of the point. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, please like and subscribe for more content just like this. Share the video about this, the best thing you can do for the channel, and I'll see you all in the next one. Peace out.